Greetings, I'm Professor K, and in this short video presentation, we're going to take a look at how we go about performing host discovery using NMAP. By default, NMAP does host discovery and then performs a port scan against each host it determines to be online. This is true even if you specify non-default host discovery types, such as UDP probes. So if you're not interested on what's running on the host, you just want to know if the host is up and running on the network, well then you can do a host discovery and you can skip all the port scanning. In our first example here, we're going to perform a list scan. The list scan is a degenerate form of a host discovery that simply lists each host of the network that is specified. It does this without sending any packets to the target host. Now by default, NMAP will still do a reverse DNS resolution on the host to learn their names. So in this example, I've typed in NMAP, I give it a space, a dash, small letter S, a capital letter L, I give it a space. Now I'm going to scan the entire range of the subnet, 10.0.2.0/24, and I'm going to go ahead and now hit enter. And since I don't have DNS running on my network, the scan results are going to come back and it's going to tell me that it could not resolve any host names, and therefore it's going to tell me that everything on that subnet is currently unreachable or it is down. In my next example, I've typed in NMAP, I've given it a space, a dash, small letter S, a capital N, and the N stands for no. This option tells NMAP not to do a port scan after host discovery, and only print out the available hosts that respond to the host discovery probes. And this is something that a network administrator might use to count all available machines on the network or to monitor server availability. So at the prompt, I've typed in NMAP space dash small letter S capital N, give it a space. Now I've typed in the subnet that I want it to scan for active host, but I don't want it to do any port scanning. 10.0.2.0/24. Let's go ahead and hit enter. Using a no port scan allows for light reconnaissance of a target network without attracting too much attention. So knowing how many hosts are up is more valuable to an attacker than the list provided by the list scan of every IP address and host name. And if you scroll down here to the bottom, you can actually see how many hosts were discovered as being active on this network. By using the dash capital P small letter N switch, we can skip doing a host scan and we can scan only the ports available on the network. So to do this, I've typed in NMAP, give it a space, a dash, capital P small letter N, give it a space. Now I type in the range that I want to scan. In this case, it's 10.0.2.0/24. Let's go ahead and scan this network. So as soon as you start to scan, it tells you that host discovery is disabled. And another thing that you have to be aware of is that when you're doing this port scan, you're going to scan all 65,535 ports on every device on the subnet. So this is not a slow scan. So all the addresses have been marked as up, and it comes back with the port scan result for each one of these hosts that were discovered on the network using this particular NMAP scan. In our next example, we're going to attempt to establish whether or not a host is alive and available on the network by going after a particular port on that device. This type of scan is referred to as a TCP SYN ping. The SYN flag is going to tell the remote system that we are attempting to establish a connection. So this anti-SYN flag TCP packet that we sent over to the target tells it that we are attempting to establish a connection. Now normally, if the destination port were to be closed, the target would just send back a reset packet. But if the port happens to be open, the target will take the second step of a TCP three-way handshake and respond with a SYN acknowledgement TCP packet. The machine running NMAP then tears down the connection by responding with a reset rather than an acknowledgement package, which would have completed that three-way handshake and established a connection. But we don't want to establish the connection. By not establishing the connection or having a failed connection attempt, anything that is watching or monitoring the network will probably ignore whatever it is we're doing and treat it as a false positive. So at the prompt, I've typed in NMAP space 10.0.2.18 dash capital P, capital S, followed by the port number, and each additional port number is separated with a comma. Let's go ahead and hit enter. So using this TCP SYN ping, I was able to confirm that the machine is alive and available on the network by trying to connect to the target using a particular port. In our previous scan, we did a TCP SYN ping, and we did that by sending over a TCP SYN packet to the target. Now in this next example, we're going to do something very similar, but instead of sending over the SYN packet, we're going to be sending over the acknowledgement packet. Most connections cannot come into the network from outside of the network uninvited. That is to say that an individual on the inside of the network must first attempt to establish a connection to a machine on the internet. That response would require the acknowledgement packet to come back in. Now, if that's not the case, then the firewall is going to know this, and it's going to filter the acknowledgement or the SYN packet and say that you did not originate from inside this network, you cannot come in. So as an attacker, I could use this particular type of scan to see which ports are being filtered and which ports are being unfiltered on the firewall. Now, since I'm already inside the network, I can also use this particular type of scan to determine which machines are alive and available on the network by sending an acknowledgement packet over to a particular port to see if the machine responds. And so in this example, I've typed in NMAP space 10.0.2.18 dash capital P, capital A. And now I followed it up with the port numbers, and each one of those ports is separated by a comma. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And since there's no router and there's no firewall between me and the target, this scan is going to complete successfully. We can also detect if a host is available on the network using UDP. In this example, I've typed in dash capital P, capital U, and by default, it's going to use port 40125 to detect if the machine is available and responsive. So at the prompt, I've typed in NMAP, given it a space, type in the IP address of my target, 10.0.2.18, give it a space, dash capital P, capital U, and I'll hit enter. And in just a moment, it comes back letting me know that that machine is up and responsive. In this next example, we see how we can use a ping scan to determine which hosts are available and responsive on the network. So at the prompt, I've typed in NMAP space 10.0.2.0 / 24, give it a space, dash small letter S, capital P, and hit enter. And in just a moment, the results come back showing you the machines that have been identified as being up and responsive on the network. So in this short video presentation, you got to see the different ways that we can use NMAP to discover any live hosts that are currently available on the network. I'm Professor K. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.